again, I think if you want to articulate concepts, you've got to be careful. I think PKR and the opposition group, they've just taken over power from the traditionally Barisan Umno states. Okay? Now, their policy of equality and all that, I appreciate that. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. But you must also understand that you cannot change mindsets overnight. You cannot change people's understanding of things overnight. You cannot change people's feeling about certain things overnight. You know? Now, if you remember that, then it is best. The better route will be, don't talk too much. Just do it. Just do it. You know, if you do good policies, if you implement good policies, then if all the communities feel they belong, then you have succeeded. The problem with Barisan policies is that the Barisan of old was very good, but the recent Barisan has become ignorant and arrogant, and they have excluded some people. That's why they lost. Now, the test for the Barisan alternative is the same. It's the same. This euphoria will last another 2 months, maybe less. But the moment they start doing things wrong, and if they just talk too much, that's the first sign of things that can go wrong. I would urge them to do things, you know, talk less, do things, mindful of the fact that we are in a delicate situation. You know, people, we just had through an election. Emotions are high. Relax, relaxed. No need to articulate too much. You know, this is not a lecture hall. You know, this is not a university lecture where we can articulate things and you expect people to be of the same wavelength. We are talking to the people in the street with all sorts of, you know, expectations and all sorts of prejudices, all sorts of concerns. Do things. Focus on housing, for example. I wish they would focus on housing. I see in my constituency, Kota Baru, for example, there are so many poor people. It's unbelievable that we live in this country. So poor people, and I see a lot of urban poor in KL, in Penang. Okay, why don't we do that first? Why don't we talk less? And whoever can resolve that problem, I think, will win the next election. You know, so I'm not at all in favor of too much articulation of concepts, especially at this stage. You know, equality, NEP, just do it. You know, and don't aggravate the discussion. Yeah. I believe they can, because, you see, I was very skeptical of PAS. You see, in 1990, when PAS won in Kelantan, I said to myself, this government cannot last. The kind of people they had, I was very much prejudiced against PAS. With the kind of revenue the state was having at that time. How do you run a state? You can't even pay salary. I said to myself. But they have lasted 18 years, and they probably did another 18. You know? So I'm now very careful about discounting people's ability. I'm very careful. I think Khalid is a good manager. You know, so long as there's not too much politics, I think Khalid will do well in Islam. I don't know about Lim Guan Eng, to be honest with you. I don't know. In a way, it's easier because it's very predominantly Chinese, but the focus will be on Lim Guan Eng, so he should be very careful. You know, so there's a lot of burden on his shoulder. Perak, I don't know much about what's going on in Perak, but I believe all the state governments, including my own in Kota Baru, I think people say without Nia Aziz, PAS will disintegrate. I don't think so. I think we have to give credit to their resilience, you know. And I believe Kelantan will perform just like before, and it's not going to be easy. I think the challenge now, from both Barisan and even the opposition, I think the challenge now is that you cannot sit on your laurels anymore. You want to be a leader of this country. You want to be, whether at any level, I think the demands on you will be much higher. The people will be expecting a lot from you. The sacrifice will have to be more, and you have to be You have to be more transparent, and all that. And I think to be a minister in the last cabinet now will be different from a minister in his last cabinet. I think there are a lot more people in parliament to ask you questions. You cannot avoid them all the time. You cannot ask your parliamentary secretary to answer for you, which you used to be able to do because there were only 10 or, if you call me, sometimes I sound like an opposition, maybe 11 fellows ask questions. But yeah, it's going to be tougher, which is good because I think the interests of the people will be better served if you have leaders who are accountable, who have to account. The worst thing is the leader says, I don't care what you say. This is the worst, which we witnessed that in the last couple of years. People are just so arrogant. So now everyone is under a microscope. There's a lot of focus. And I hope, that's my last point, if I may, because of this almost very strong opposition in Parliament, 82, and controlling the state as well. This is also a test of our maturity to work together, to make it work, to make democracy work. Because democracy works best when you have opposing group of about equal strength, or that it works best. So, for example, in Parliament, they have to make changes if it wants to work. You see, the days of shouting, you keluar, you bodoh, you monkey, cannot work anymore because there will be so many shouting. There will be so much shouting. So, if you want to work, the standing orders have to be revisited. The speaker has to look at things differently. Question time has to be longer. You have to make a lot of changes. At the state, federal level too, the Menteri Besar has to work with the federal, otherwise you can't get big projects done, and vice versa. So this is the test of our maturity, of our administrators, for our leaders and administrators. Because if we don't work together, then it's going to, make this country, we are going to regress, we're going to go down, we're going to be another third world, incapable of running democracy. So I hope that I'm positive about things. Actually, I mean, I think it will work. I think adjustments will be made, and so long as everybody mindful of those, as I said, those delicate, sensitive issues, don't aggravate them. We must have goodwill. We must have goodwill on the part of the government and the graciousness to accept this setback. Barisan leaders must say, okay, we lost. But there's no need to put a spin on this, to put that, the Malays are in danger. There's no need to do all that, We're not in danger. We just lost one election. And equally, I think those that have won shouldn't be too arrogant too. They should be humble about their victory, and they should concentrate on what is important. Get on with the work, talk less, and we'll have a thriving democracy.